Hi everyone, my name is Brianna Daughtery, and this is my introduction video for EDL 850 School Law. I live in southern Indiana. We live out in the middle of nowhere. We have about 4 acres of land, so lots of room for lots of animals. We currently have 4 dogs, one of which is not pictured down here because he showed up. His name's Luke. He's a puppy, but he was here one weekend when we came home and just hasn't left since then. This little guy here is Simba. This is Oscar, and this is Harley. I should probably mention the people. This here is Michael. We've been together for quite some time now. And this is our daughter Lorelai, and she's 5. She just started kindergarten in August and at a public school here in our town. Uh, these are our chickens. We currently have 7 chickens. We love to hang out with them. The dogs surprisingly don't eat them, which is good. Um, and then this is our barn cat, Oreo. She fits in very well with our group. And then here's another family photo of us this summer. When I graduated college, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in elementary education and special education. I then I in the process of interviewing for jobs, I came across a job at the university here in our town, Vincent's University, and they offered me a position as an adult education teacher. So I took that position, and then as time went on, I took on more responsibility, and I became the English as a second language teacher, as well as still doing my adult education duties also. I thoroughly enjoyed my teaching career. However, when my daughter started kindergarten, I was working 2 nights a week till 7 o'clock at night, and it was just getting hard to juggle it all. So the opportunity came across, and I actually just switched careers completely in November, and now I am an account manager at TrueRx Management Service, and that is a prescription benefits management company. So I deal with insurance, the prescription side of insurance, anyways. So it's a complete flip of what I was doing. However, I do enjoy it as well, and a lot of the skills I've learned teaching have helped me in my current career. So, a little side note, when I first began my path into teaching, I never thought about how laws would affect what goes on in the day to day teaching of the classroom. Going through education courses, I realized that that was completely insane of me to ever realize that it didn't actually happen. I found out just how important it really was because everything affects from the government affects what you're doing in your classroom every single day, which is another reason I opted out with teaching just because some of the politics weren't up to what I wanted to do on a daily basis. But that's a different time and story. I taught for a grant funded program, and it basically was if the state didn't have the money, you just didn't work for 2 weeks. So it was hard. Which I know that public school systems is a little bit different, and that is how we're going to get a little bit more into that. So, for the local, state, and federal support. So, to my surprise, I just as a general person would think that the federal government would have more support in our school systems. Whenever I was researching this, though, I came across that local and state governments provide more support to schools than federal government, especially as far as funding goes. According to the U.S. Education Department website, 83 cents of every dollar spent on education is said to come from the local and state levels, which is a large percentage. So 45% of that comes from the state, and 37% of that is from the local, and only 8% come from the federal government. So at the local level, the public elects members to the school board, and they make the day-to-day decisions. Teachers also make the day-to-day. You have your teachers that make day-to-day decisions, but when it all comes down to it, the school board is the one that has a lot to do with that. The school board elects the superintendent, who then hires the principal, who then hires the teachers and the other staff members. Most here in Indiana, most school boards are volunteers. Some of them pay, but it does vary from district to district from what I had found. At the state level, in my opinion, it is the one that has the most power and control over education. As teachers, you're always hearing, what are the state standards? What are the core standards? What are things that the state is looking for when they're doing evaluations? The principal has to come in and do evaluations of each teacher and see if you're hitting on your state standards. If you're not hitting on your state standards, you're going to lose your job, basically, when it comes down to it. I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to worry about standards in my grant funded program. Um, so it's just something that I didn't have to worry about necessarily. However, we had test scores that the state, we had to meet a certain amount of test scores in order for the state to fund our program. So, I got a little sidetracked there. The state is the one that elects the standards and the budget for the school system. In Indiana, our current superintendent for education is Jennifer McCormick. Indiana has a lot of controversy going on right now with education, which is another reason why I've decided to opt out, because we are the lowest state of income or of teacher pay. And as an educator, I fully believe we put in a lot of work for the little amount of money that we get, especially here in Indiana. So much, but much like the local level, the state also has a school board that holds a majority of vote when deciding to implement a new change, and then it is placed statewide. There's every year there is new elects, but every 4 years is when you hear more about it when it comes to politics. At the federal level, there are laws and programs that support our schools that we implement every single day. The most commonly one would be known as the No Child Left Behind Act. This was something that was huge when I was in the school system, because no child left behind. Every child has the right to learn. So under the No Child Left Behind Act falls Title I, Reading First, Improving Teacher Quality Grants, English Language Acquisition, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and the Education Services Reform Act. So many laws that are implemented in our local schools are funded from the federal laws. When I was going over all of this, with the NS number 6, I believe that all three branches obviously play a role in it. However, I believe the state plays the biggest role. While the local government operates on the more day-to-day things, the state is the one that the local government is reporting to. So the state is the government, then makes sure that the local government is following all federal education laws as well. So it's like a tier. We build off of the local, state, and then the federal. So everyone is checking and making sure that we're following and doing things according to how it goes. So what does that mean for our overall education success and well-being? When thinking about teaching, oftentimes people don't always take into consideration how many hands are in the pot. When what's happening. You hear parents wondering why a teacher can't make a change to something. Well, a teacher can't change the state standard. So they don't, unless you are a parent and an educator, you don't think about those things behind the scenes. As a parent, I want to hear that the teacher is making choices that are going to affect my child. As an educator, I know that there's so much more behind the scenes that are going on as to what's affecting my child, which is why I've now learned to pay attention to what's going on in our state as far as education and how I can make a change and what needs to be done. Um, Our government needs to support and help our schools in any way that they best can, and it starts at the local level. So when you're voting, you want to make sure you're voting for who has your best interest locally, because that's where it's going to start. Um, and then here are my resources, and I look forward to this class. I think that I have a lot to learn when it comes to laws and with education. However, I am anxious to see what I bring from it, and law can be a little controversial and um, contradicting in some cases. So I look forward to seeing everyone's responses in this class and learning more to take on with me. Thanks, everyone.